Hello and welcome to our Literature Hour. Today with us here we have the famous writer Stendhal, who wrote the book The Red and the Black that we will be discussing today. Welcome, Stendhal.
Hello.
Thank you for being here.
Good evening. Thank you
Good
for
evening.
inviting me.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
So, can you just tell me a little bit about yourself, please? Just
Yeah,
to have
sure.
us get to know you a little bit better.
Of course, of course. So I am Stendhal,
Okay.
which is a pseudonym for Marie-Henri Bay,
Okay.
basically. I was born January 23rd, 1783 in Grenoble.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Can you just tell me a little bit about like your childhood life and where you grew up, what your
Okay.
childhood was like?
Well, so like I mentioned before, I grew up in Grenoble, but I must say I had a rough childhood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Why is that?
My mother died when I was 7 years old,
Oh.
and yeah, I actually had not the best relationship with my father,
Okay.
and he was a lawyer, by the way, and it's just we did not get along that well. But then because of my mom died, my aunt basically watched me, but I disliked her very much. And fun fact, actually, when she died, I just sank to my knees and I thanked the Lord. Like, thank you so much for taking her away. Yeah.
That bad, huh?
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Oh, man. Oh,
And actually, as a student, a positive thing, I guess, in my childhood is that I became interested in literature and math.
okay.
And I even prepared for the entrance examination for the École Polytechnique.
Okay.
Not only to escape from Grenoble, because I was sick of the city,
Yeah.
but also to get away from my father.
Okay. Great. So you said that your childhood was a little bit challenging for you. How would you say this influenced your writing?
Well, when I arrived in Paris, so I moved to Paris after I grew up in Grenoble, then I initially wanted to become a playwright. Yeah, but when I got into Paris, actually, one of my relatives, Pierre Daru, family Daru, obtained an appointment for me as a second lieutenant, yeah, in the French military forces.
Okay.
Yeah.
What a great opportunity for you.
Yes, because it was stationed in Italy.
Okay.
Yes, and Italy had a really big influence on me, on my writing, because the culture was so special to me
Okay.
that I could just not, it changed my life.
Okay. For the better. you'd
For the
say.
better,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
So you said that you went to Italy and you had a little bit of a tough childhood when you were in Grenoble and everything, and your mom passed away. What would you say your love life was like?
Well, I think I've had many different love affairs. I guess I have to admit.
Okay.
Yes. But maybe that is all because I didn't really have a mother figure in my life, like the mother love. I never really knew what love was. When I
That
was
feeling
younger.
of a woman's love.
A woman's love. So I guess you could also see it in my writing, in my book, The Red and the Black especially. It's how how Julien goes from one woman to another, and he doesn't know like who he has to choose or go for. So yeah.
Absolutely. So you talked briefly about your time in Italy and everything like that. Have you traveled elsewhere other than Italy?
Yes,
okay.
yes, I have.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, because I have connections with the First Council because of my relative, family Daru. I got into the French army under Napoleon's command.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I served as a lieutenant for over a year,
Okay.
fighting in Italy, Russia, and Germany.
Oh, what a great experience.
Oh, I loved it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I heard you say you fought under Napoleon. It's my understanding that Julien admires Napoleon in this book, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Would you say that it's much like your own life, that you related it to Napoleon like that in your book?
Yeah, I think you can say that, yes.
Okay.
Because Napoleon, he was more than just a distant figure or the embodiment of a political phase.
Yeah.
He is constantly present in my work, in my thinking, in my ideas, and just everything.
Because of the big influence he had on you
Yes.
when you were in the army?
Yes, exactly.
Would you say that he's your hero?
Yeah, definitely.
Yes?
He's my hero.
Okay. What a great hero to
I
have, you know,
know.
such an iconic figure.
Mhm.
So what, in the end, through everything that you've been through, what influenced you to write this book, The Red and the Black?
Well, I think it was my own constant seeking for power and
Mhm.
more and more and more.
Mhm.
And I basically represented my own into Julian's personality or
Yeah.
character, I would say. Yes, and I felt also that I needed to portray my seeking for power,
Mhm.
because I really want people to know my actual personal life, like what I think too, and
Yeah.
for my writers, my fans.
So you said you were through your seeking through power and everything like that. What were you going through when you were writing this book?
Well, I was actually in Paris
Oh,
at that time. I just published my first novel
okay.
and a travel book, Promenade de Rome.
Okay.
Yeah, because, you know, Italy, big influence on me.
It was
Yeah.
about your time in
Yes,
Italy
a
and
travel
everything like
guide,
that?
basically.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's when I also wrote The Red and the Black.
Okay.
Mhm.
Great.
Yeah.
So when you wrote The Red and the Black, what were you hoping people would get out of your book? What message were you trying to send?
Well, my book was dedicated to the happy few.
Okay.
So that's basically people who truly understand my writing.
Okay.
Because in my writing, there's a lot of irony and psychological aspects,
Mhm.
and not that many people understand it. So that's why it's only meant for like the happy few.
Mm-hmm. And those who would get your message and everything like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So with the whole book, are you satisfied with how it turned out?
I think I can say yes.
Yes?
Yes, I am satisfied with how it turned out because it was one of my most successful novels.
Mm-hmm.
And not only because people were buying the book,
Uh-huh.
but also people were understanding my message, which is really important to me.
Mm-hmm. What did the ending mean for you? An interesting little bit of the book, you know, just kind of an abrupt stop with Julian and that drama. What did that mean for you?
Well, to me, it means that life isn't always that easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not because it goes bad for a while that you'll have a happy ending,
Yeah.
like what usually always happens in other novels.
Mm-hmm. That fairy tale.
Fairy tale
Yeah.
ending. No, yeah, that's why it's. I know that it's like an abrupt ending,
Mm-hmm.
but it also kind of represents my mother's death.
Okay.
How it all of a sudden just, she's gone.
Mm-hmm. She died when you were 7. That's
yeah,
correct,
when I
right?
was only 7.
What a terrible, terrible thing for a 7-year-old to have to go through.
Yeah, I was an unhappy child.
Mhm.
I think I can say that too.
Okay, so you think Julian's abrupt ending had something to do with your mother's
Mhm.
also abrupt
Mhm.
ending? Okay. So, The Red and the Black is a very accredited book. How did you come up with the title?
Okay, yeah. The title refers to both the tensions in Julian's character
Okay.
and the conflicting choice he's faced within his quest for success.
Okay.
So the red
Mhm.
basically represents the army and the black represents the church.
Okay, so it depicts Julian's struggle between picking, joining the military, much like you did, or
Yeah.
taking to the church and taking the black and everything. So it was just that little.
Constant struggle.
Yes. Okay. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for being here
You're
with us.
welcome.
It's a
You're
pleasure
welcome.
to meet
Nice
you.
to meet you too.
Join us later for another interview with a reviewer of the book. Thank you for joining Literature Hour. Welcome back to Literature Hour. Today we have with us Julie Block, who did a book review on the book The Red and the Black. Welcome, Julie. Thank you for coming.
Well, thank you for having me.
We're happy to have you. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, as Hannah told me, my name is Julie Black, and I grew up in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And then when I turned 22, I actually moved to New York to become a writer.
Wow, really?
Mhm.
Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about what your childhood was like?
Well, I did live kind of in the middle of nowhere, so I spent a lot of time reading books. But then also I have an older brother who picked on me a lot of time.
Oh.
And my dad actually died when I was young. I was probably around like 3 or 4 years old. and he was kind of the closest I was to in the family.
Oh.
And so once he died, I kind of felt like I didn't really fit into the family anymore.
That must have been really hard for you.
Oh, yes.
Once that happened, did you have like a childhood hero that you could turn and look to get you through those tough times?
Well, I always did have a love for Shakespeare,
Oh.
and that's kind of why I could see myself liking The Red and the Black so much, because they both kind of have a dramatic way to the way they write. So like Shakespeare, he has all these crazy events going on, like unexpected turns.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I see The Red and the Black too. There's different events, different things happen.
Lots of drama.
Lots of drama.
Yeah.
Julian doing things he really shouldn't, like going to the home of Madame Renal. Well, it was forbidden.
Yeah.
So
Scandalous things. So what did you think about this book?
Well, the book itself is kind of dark. It's about religion, hypocrisy, society, and the military.
Yeah.
But without anything resembling a happy ending. But it was also way ahead of its time.
Yeah.
And so it's completely engrossing. It's important to research, though, the events of what was happening during that time period, because otherwise it is a little confusing. So it is definitely important to know what you're going into as
Kind of
you're
helps you
reading
get a
it.
handle on things
Yeah,
and everything.
exactly.
Let you know what you're getting into. Yeah, definitely.
You also kind of get to witness almost like a duel going on inside of Julian's head, because he's fighting between the different things he wants to do. He's fighting between either going into the military or going into the church as like a priest or something.
So like that internal battle.
Yeah, and then there's also the battle of emotions,
Okay.
which so many love affairs going on in this
Yeah.
book, and just, I don't know. It's kind of like you get to experience and travel with Julian throughout his life, and kind of get to actually see the different places he lived and like the different people he worked for.
Feel what he's feeling
Yeah.
during those moments. And
Exactly.
try and understand a little bit more about him. Yeah, I get that. So great. So this book, was it an easy read for you? Because I tell you what, I tried it and it was really tough.
I think for most people it is a difficult read. Like I said, it was written in the 1800s, so a little bit of different language was used.
Yeah.
A little bit of translation needing every now and then.
Definitely, I
But
expanded my vocabulary.
yeah, there's definitely bound to be difficulties in it, but you're also able to witness what was acceptable to say during that time period. And so it is a book you should read, because it is from a different time. You get to experience the lives of the people during that time period.
So you mentioned it being like, you get to understand what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. And I know that this book was, originally in France and everything, that's the setting. How do you think that this book relates to the French people culturally?
Oh, okay. So Julian has a love Julian has a love for Napoleon, which is also kind of someone Stendhal looked up to.
Yeah.
And so historically, it was an influence on France, because it really Napoleon really shows itself in the book. It demonstrates how important he was to Stendhal and to the French people of the time, and it kind of shows how he continued to be important today, really.
Yeah, because he just kept coming back up, in the book, and I know he's Julian's role model and everything, so he really was an important piece to this puzzle, to informing the book and everything. So, so you personally, how do you relate to this book?
Well, myself as well as thousands of other people, we kind of spend our lives looking for, I'm going to say, power. Like, there's so many people that are stuck between choosing different things. Like I said, Julian was stuck between choosing the military or church or other jobs that were available to him. And so, like, Julian was stuck deciding. I kind of was stuck looking for that power that I wanted, and like searching for what I wanted to do in life.
Like when you moved to New York, you mean? Like you were searching just like in the book. So then how do you relate personally to Julien?
To Julien personally, well, in my youth, I moved to New York, like you had said, and kind of is much like how Julien moved to Besançon to kind of better his life in a way. And it was a way to get away from my rough family life. Yeah. Just like it was for him.
So, with all that said, what made you want to write an article about this book?
Well, I think The Red and the Black is actually an extremely good book. It's entertaining. There's just so much to it that I thought that it needed a wider range of readers. And so not many people, I feel like, in the real life know about this book.
Yeah.
And so I decided to put a review in a newspaper to hopefully spread the knowledge of this book.
Yeah, I had no idea about this book before I read your review, and I thought, oh, I'll read that book.
Well, at least I'm getting to someone.
Yeah. So what did you think of the ending? I was stumped.
Oh, yeah. I was too. It was a very abrupt ending. I don't know if Stendhal planned it out very extensively, but I feel like it fit for Julian's character.
Yeah.
Julian was always a very rash person, and so kind of having like a rash, abrupt ending, I feel like relates well to his character. And I just feel like it was a very good ending for this type of book.
Yeah, because he's kind of reckless, and then it's kind of a reckless ending, you know, just abrupt, and then
always
it's over.
Doing things he shouldn't do, and it just turns out in one way. I can't say how it ends, because then that would ruin it for everyone.
Yeah, I understand. So what message did you get from this book?
A lot of this book, I feel like, was about greed and power. So it was a constant need for wealth, and it kind of how it brings out the worst in people. Julian kind of started out working for his dad, doing all the different dirty work, while his dad and his brothers kind of regarded him as an insignificant player.
Yeah.
And so they kind of often overlooked him. And so this fed into Julian's need for power, and it resulted in his character changing, and sometimes for the better, and sometimes definitely for the worse.
So you think, you know, that want to become more and not be overlooked anymore really kind of made him into almost like a greedy person, and just constantly wanting more because he was deprived with his family so much. Yeah. Oh, well, thank you for joining us here again on Literature Hour. We'll be happy to hear from you and your reviews of this session. Thank you.